Today is the day. We've been working on this English Art Deco bar cabinet for a couple weeks now, and today we can finally share the end result. Welcome back to Montford Boulevard. Everything we do here is a love letter to the Art Deco era of the Roaring 20s and the 1930s. This video is part 2 of an ongoing project, which was commissioned by a customer of ours. We worked closely with her on this vintage furniture restoration remake, and we're excited to share the results. Just a quick recap here. This bar is very attractive on its own. It had some concerning damage. This was a major hole in the top of it in the veneer, missing some veneer along the bottom, and a lot of it was loose. We did get that glued and clamped, filled, sanded. Lots of prep work. That's always the most time-consuming part of these jobs. You can see some of that significant damage that we encountered, but it was looking so clean and fresh after we got a coat of stain on it. And now we're going to start with some of the bold ideas that we referenced last time. This is where it gets interesting. We also have a field trip today, a quick Art Deco field trip. We saw some things that we're excited to share, so stick around for that. We are coating the drawers here with some satin lacquer. They've been stained with general finishes. It was colonial maple, the color that we like to use. The customer requested that these shapes on the fronts of the drawers be colored, alternating black and green. It seemed like a bit of a bold choice, but we carefully selected the colors and we're very pleased with the results. You can see after we unmasked here, it's already starting to come together. Orange and green are complementary colors, so that was a good choice. And this is to go with the decor in the room that she's putting together. Now we're going to coat that once again with some more satin lacquer. And to add the gold that's going to go in the grooves here, I'm using a fine brush. Some fine detail work here that's going to take a little bit of focus. It did go faster than expected, probably only about 20 to 30 minutes to do both of these drawers. And that's the end result. You can see it is starting to look pretty attractive already. So we found this funny little push pin inside one of the drawers. We've never seen anything like it. Under the magnifier, it almost looks like a sunflower. Anybody have any idea what this might have been? I'm wondering if these were sold in England or what that might be, but this funny little push pin was just stuck in there. Now going to do the same pattern on the front of this cabinet. It really tied in nicely with both of the drawers. Once you focus and kind of find your rhythm here, this really isn't so bad. Probably only took about 10-15 minutes to do the gold on this center column here. So these are the plates that go behind the handles on the front doors, and they were lacking escutcheon pins. It looked like there were marks where the holes should be, and so that's what we were adding. Now a fresh coat of gold lacquer. We seal the gold, spray black over top of it. Then as soon as it dries, we just remove that black, making sure that we're not cutting into the gold. And we get this nice antiqued look, which you've probably seen us do before. This was the complicated mechanism that opens and closes that top compartment. And all it took was a little bit of steel wool. This was a finer steel wool, 3/0, and you can see that starting to shine up already. Almost a mirrored effect. This is the hinge for that top compartment. It did look like it originally was painted black, but a lot of that was coming off, so we're just going to start back square one, recoat that with black lacquer. Easily done. Putting that back on the top hatch now. We did put some new screws in. The old ones tend to strip when you take them out, especially those flathead screws. This driver is such a handy tool. Has a surprising amount of torque too. We'll put that in the link in the description below. This juicer is corroded. We had first thought that maybe that was just a little bit of lemon juice residue, but it was cutting into the metal. So we replaced it with a new one. We're using the original clips to hold it in place, but we did need to adjust them just slightly, marking where the drill hole is going to go. Now we're getting into the fabrics that we had printed. These were custom printed. We use a website called Spoonflower. It's very affordable to get designs printed. We purchased these from an artist on Etsy. She does some very attractive Art Deco designs, and we had a 3-pack, so the colors do match. So this is the inside of that main compartment. We're using this Mod Podge here, and today we are trying the semi-gloss finish. Normally we use the matte, but we wanted to see how that goes, and you can see we use quite a bit of this adhesive. It surprisingly disappears and blends in very, very well. We want to make sure the fabric stays on there. You've got a good amount of time to work, kind of stretch it out, make sure it's in position. Sometimes we will spray mist water over top of the fabric as well. But it is, like I say, a flexible amount of time to work with this and get it just as you want it. Starting to dry now, and you can see, very attractive. It's just going to be inside of that working compartment there. So this is the field trip I mentioned. We are in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, looking for some Art Deco and finding some. You'll probably notice in a lot of cities if you look closer. This used to be a drugstore in the 1930s, Lacquer's drugstore, and we were blown away by these leaded glass windows. This pattern is so fascinating. We may use this on a furniture piece in the future for inspiration. Another building here. Look at the leaded glass. I initially thought this was a turkey. That's a peacock, Art Deco peacock. Look at the patterns here. Look at the font. This is 1930s quintessential. Oxidized bronze. Can you imagine if that was cleaned up? Another Art Deco turkey there. The leaded glass, this is just at the peak of the Art Deco movement. And then this light fixture. We were discussing coming back with some bolt cutters and an SUV. Not really, but isn't that thing just incredible? But the real shocker on this trip, this piece of furniture was in the rental where we stayed. Unbelievable Art Deco dresser, waterfall dresser. If this was local and affordable, we would have tried to purchase it. You can see the top needs to be refinished, but it's in surprisingly good condition. You can see in the background there's actually a wardrobe matching. Beveled mirror, you've got the Bakelite clips, the wood grain and the veneer here on this wardrobe, really incredible. Now the reason we were in Pennsylvania was to get together with family for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. It's my mom Sherry and my dad Tim. Had such an incredible time, my sister Beth there, going to some of our favorite places, spending time with favorite friends and family. This is a piano player. His name is Ed, and we always appreciate him. So just a real treat. So many good meals and good memories. We did live in Pennsylvania for a good amount of time, so that's why we have so many connections there. If you would wish my dad Tim and my mom Sherry a happy anniversary, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Back to work in the shop here, and we're working on the fabric for the inside door panels. And this is the design that's going to go on the sides of this piece. A very bold choice, but we think very tastefully chosen. Along with our customer, we love doing these commissions, so if you do have a family heirloom piece and you'd like to freshen it up, we would love to work with you on whatever you have, as long as it's Art Deco. That's our genre. But again, the greens here really contrast nicely with the oranges of the wood grain, being complementary colors, of course. As I mentioned, we use quite a bit of glue. Make sure we clean it up off of the wood before it dries. Here's what the artwork looked like when we purchased it. Very elegant. There is a dog in the bottom of this illustration, and the owner of this furniture piece has a dog, so she really appreciated this illustration. Just carefully positioning it on the side here. Again, this was our first time working with the semi-gloss Mod Podge, and we were pleased, very pleased. It has a bit more of a vivid result after it dries. You'll see at the end. Using the squeegee to just get the excess out of there. It's a little scary at first using so much glue, but again, here's the dried result on the inside of one of the doors and then the other one. This Art Deco and a little bit of Art Nouveau mixed in this pattern. Art Deco and Art Nouveau do go hand in so many situations. Putting these hinges back on, they've been freshly painted black. It was challenging to find the screw holes behind the fabric, so putting the hardware back on, that was pretty time consuming actually. But the mechanism works perfectly, clicks right back in there. Next, we want to liven up the inside walls of this piece, so using this product by Howard's, you can see how dry and kind of flat it looks. But this is really waking that wood up. Just giving it a richer look. Now we're getting into the touch-up, and there was quite a bit of touch-up. Using the Blendal Powders here, and French lacquer to activate them. First, we're going to get the base color here. And coming back in with the darker grain lines. Really just a two-step process, and then lacquer over top of it. Lots of edges. The veneer was really peeling up. It was actually kind of hanging over. Somebody had cut it a bit long, didn't trim it as tight as it should be, some of these edges. As a result, we really had to address a lot of veneer that was peeling up. Next, we've got a couple of holes to deal with in the veneer. Some of them are sand throughs, and some were actually probably originally done in the factory. That's one of them right there. There was a touch-up over top of it. Either way, we're going to have to address it. It came off with a very light sanding. Not a big deal. It's funny, there were places where this veneer was exceptionally thin. We do encounter this All Art Deco waterfall furniture is made with veneer, by the way. You can see that disappeared quite nicely. And that'll pass just fine. Here is the light that we chose to go on the inside. It has a few more options, of course, than the original light. AC adapter to plug it into the wall, that's important. It has a variety of cool to warm settings from daylight to tungsten. Warmer does seem to look better with this furniture piece. And then the dimmer, which works very well. So we are looking in this inside compartment. This is just a nice angle. All it took was a little bit of shellac that polished up nicely. This hole was actually originally there in the back of the piece, so we're going to work off of that. Got a variety of hole saws here. This one seems to be just wide enough for that plug to fit through. First, drilling the pilot hole, getting it just a little bit bigger. Now that hole saw going through pretty smoothly. And that was exactly what we need for this cord. Looking at the inside here, we got it nice and tight in the corner. So here we go, it attached with 2 screws. Dimmer, that's a really nice effect. Putting it over to the warmer tungsten lighting. So we're going to get this mirror back in the tray. This kind of swings open. It's almost like a serving or preparation surface. Getting the trim back on. We're going to use the nailer and try to be very careful not to shatter the glass, of course. Worked out just fine. Now we've got our wax sticks. Fill those holes, buff them out. Now we're starting to put the framework, the hardware back together. Look at, you can see a few holes were drilled there. There were several other instances with this furniture piece of people struggling to put it together, and when we attempted to put it back together, it was clear to see what the challenges were. This is really a complicated sort of a mechanism. Look at that, all these joints. It's especially tough when you have several options of screw holes that really were evidence of somebody just struggling with this from the get-go. But we did get it back as it was, and it worked perfectly smoothly. Notice, however, the top of this mirror, we'll see it from the other side. First, we're putting the cover back on, the original cover as it was. This is actually an old upholsterer's trick. You store nails in your mouth, spit them on the magnetic end of the hammer, tap it in, flip it over, and there you go. I don't dare try that. But the top of the mirror, this is what I was mentioning. If you're going to reach in there with your fingers, that could possibly cut you. So we need to put some protection in there. Originally there wasn't a light there that you had to reach in to turn on, so I suppose they weren't concerned about the glass. But we found a little piece of trim that's going to be perfect. Got some glue on it, and this will be adequate protection from the sharp edge of that mirror. Just going to let that dry a little bit. Getting the juicer back in there, the new one that we purchased. Dropping the cocktail picks back in. They're still in really good shape, fortunately. And we are getting close. Popping the drawers back in. And with that, she's ready for her close-up. Getting to work with our customer on this commission was one of the more creatively satisfying experiences we've had in a while. We know what our tastes are, of course, but it's really exciting to kind of get a different perspective, use some colors that we normally wouldn't, and we're so pleased with the way it all came together. We'd love to collaborate with anybody on a project like this again. Just going to take one more look from the beginning. It is an attractive piece on its own, but we just love personalizing it and giving it kind of its own identity, something you're probably not going to see again. We hope you enjoyed the little detour trip to Pennsylvania. Happy 50th anniversary to my parents, Sherry and Tim. And thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. We sure appreciate everybody who's been interacting and commenting, liking, subscribing. We do have a good number of videos on our channel to check out, including another Art Deco bar cabinet that we did, and some very exciting projects on the way. We'll be back again soon, but you're welcome back here at Montford Boulevard anytime. Yeah!